Hi, friends. TGIF, happy Friday, and thanks for being here for our afternoon chat. We've been having a lot of fun connecting with brokers across the country, learning from them what trends are they seeing in their markets, tips and things that they might want to share along to prospective clients, whether you're looking to buy or sell. And today we're taking the conversation up north, and we're going to be chatting with Mary Pidlaski, who is a broker in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. So as always, let me know in the comments as we're getting started and settling in. Let me know where you're tuning in from today, especially if you are tuning in from Canada and you are particularly wanting to know questions that you're going to be applying to your active ongoing home search right now. Let me find Mary and let her in. Doo-doo-doo. California, welcome to the chat. Hopefully we'll have some interesting things for you to learn. Michael DeRosa from the Finger Lakes tuning in. If you didn't see it, make sure to watch Michael DeRosa's replay. We chatted with him 2-3 weeks ago, talking about his unique approach to valuing historic properties. All right, we are getting close. We are getting there, folks. All right. Mary, I'm going to invite you in. All right. Like I said, let me know where you're tuning in from, especially if you're tuning in from Canada, because you are going to really want to apply everything that we chat about today right away. So Mary, I'm going to send you a little invitation. You should get a little invite to join. All right. Lots of folks on a Friday afternoon. Great to see. Appreciate you being here always. And while we get settled in and get set up, if there's any, Austin, Texas, hi and hello. If there's anywhere that you are curious to have Circa recruit someone to do one of these chats and talk about the market, maybe that's more local to you, let me know. I'm happy to see who we have in our cadre of friends and contacts that we might be able to ask. Tacoma, Washington, welcome, welcome. All right, Mary, I'm sending you a little invitation. You should get a little prompt, and then we'll get going.
Hi.
Here we go.
How you doing?
Hello, Mary. Doing great. It's really hot here, so I almost said it's a summer Friday, but it is still just April. So I'm in upstate New York, not too far from you, probably.
Oh, okay,
A couple
wonderful.
hours, but
I'm just
we're
trying to
only
get the
one
screen
time
so I
zone
can
away.
see you here. Hang on here.
Do what you've got to do. While you do that, folks are just letting us know where they're tuning in from today. I've seen Washington State, I've seen California, and I know that people are going to know if I am a resident of the United States and I see my dream property in Canada, is it possible? And we're going to get there, but let's not start there. We'll get there near the end. We'll start with some of the basics. And I just want to introduce you to our viewers today and just get to know a little bit more about how you got started focusing on historic properties in Winnipeg. And if you could kind of tell us a little bit about what
I grew
makes
up
Winnipeg
here,
special to you.
and I actually started my real estate journey here. I haven't always lived here for a short stint, about 5 years actually. I did move to the West Coast. Beautiful place, Vancouver. And then I came back. Winnipeg is home. It's a wonderful place. It's not that big of a city. We've got under 1 million people. It is the largest city in our province. We're actually right in the middle of Canada. So I'm a bit further away from you. We're just right above North Dakota. So if you know anyone from North Dakota, we have similar weather here. It's known to be very cold in the wintertime, but very hot in the summer. And we get a lot of sun. So that does help us get through things. And it's a place for sturdy people, sturdy, hardy, friendly people. I think they call it friendly Manitoba. The housing market is very affordable. It's very
Ah,
swift. Since the moment I started in real estate, we've typically been in a seller's market since 2001. I started in the business in 2009. Of course, there's been influxes. We know we are known as what's called a slow growth city. So we don't experience some of the highs and lows that some of our major city centers like Toronto or Vancouver would, or like yourself or California. So we tend to kind of plug
mm.
along a little bit like this, which is positives and negatives to it, right?
Not so, yeah.
It
Well, I have to imagine
does,
the
absolutely. I
lack of
mean, during
volatility
the
has to be
last
welcome.
3 years, though, we experienced much of what the rest of North America did. Low supply, bidding wars, sometimes up to 30 people for one house.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah, wild times.
Wow. Wow. Well, and I'm curious when it comes to the historic architectural stock in Winnipeg, I'm sure it's very diverse. I'm sure you have lots of architectural examples. But, are there any interesting pockets, in California, for example, the Craftsman and the bungalow is so iconic. And in New York City, the brownstone row house is such a thing. I'm just curious if there are certain aesthetics or styles that it's like, oh, if you like that,
Absolutely. That's a great
Winnipeg
question.
and
So at the
broader
turn of the
Manitoba might
century,
really be a
the
place for
last
you.
century, we actually had some of the most growth in compared to Toronto and Montreal combined at one time. So they used to actually nickname Winnipeg Little Chicago because we were growing so
Oh, wow.
quickly. We were kind of the hub.
Oh,
So we had a lot of architecture. We had a craftsman style, the Tudor revival, the colonial revival. A lot of that we will see in some of the older neighborhoods. Some of the neighborhoods that were wealthier at the time have actually, kept up with the times. A lot of people really love their home, and they've kept it true to its original state as much as possible. We saw another revival, after, for mid-century as well. We had a lot of architecture grads coming out of our University of Manitoba that really made a nice contribution to the mid-century modern concept in Winnipeg as well. So we have little pockets. One thing about Winnipeg is I think there aren't too many pockets that people aren't aware of just because of the size. We do tend to, talk to our friends and our neighbors, and we
mm,
kind of have an idea of where those fun little places are. So the places that, as a little kid, you might dream like, going for a drive with your parents on a Sunday afternoon where you'd want to live. Wellington Crescent, in a neighborhood called River Heights. The houses along the riverside are beautiful. If you can get
mm-hmm.
yourself a lot, maybe you can build there. Some of these houses are massive architectural mansions. We also have,
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm thinking of the last property you had on
thank you.
Circa with that beautiful
Thank
tower. I
you.
mean, it
Absolutely.
was it
That
was
was a
stunning. I mean,
Richardsonian
stunning.
Romanesque. And its traditional style is the
Ugh.
turret and the grand foyer. And it was actually built for the one of the main politicians at the time. And that was the first wealthy neighborhood in Winnipeg at that time. So, and that was along the river as well. So that
Mhm.
house, the pricing in Winnipeg
Interesting.
for 1.28 million, right, was the asking price. I realized that you could not build that today for that kind of a price. Like the architecture was too exquisite. The basement had 9 foot
Absolutely.
ceilings, you know,
Hmm.
and it was built on piles.
Oh, oh. It's it's incredible. I mean, I was just saying as we were kind of settling in, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago with another broker who's based in New York's Finger Lakes region, and we were having this conversation about, when you're seeking financing, for example, part of the process is looking at comparable properties. But when it comes to a lot of really not even like the most exceptional, but sometimes just really well cared for and maintained historic properties, it can be really difficult to find a fair comp because of all that incredible craftsmanship and quality that you
And
just
then
like you
the
said, you
combination
could
with
not
finding
make
an
that happen
actual
again.
home that
It's
has
not an
been
option.
taken care of, and that love throughout that many decades is really unique as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, so I'm curious to know if Winnipeg tends to be a seller's market. What might be your advice for someone who is, thinking, I'd like to buy, and I want to not maybe feel so rushed, or I'm nervous about the competition. I don't know. Like when it comes to the buyer side of things, knowing some of the challenges maybe that you've helped some of your more recent clients navigate, would you say, like, step one, find a broker like yourself and start that relationship so that you are conversant with your clients on, like, what are you really looking for, so that when something
Yeah,
comes up,
yeah,
you can
that's a
act
great
pretty
question.
quickly
I
without
appreciate
feeling
that.
maybe rushed.
Absolutely, it's really about the relationship, and I like to view the client relationship kind of like I'm helping someone manifest what their goal and their dream is, and that's one of the most exciting things for me. So if somebody has, they've got all these check boxes of different
Yeah.
things that they want, I'm going to compare that with the market, try to educate them, show them if we physically need to go out and look to see what those things are, how much their dream actually costs. And then if we need to go back to the drawing board, sometimes we need to make adjustments.
Yeah.
I do like to make sure that the client is as prepared as possible,
Yeah.
whether it's that house turns up today or whether it comes in 6 months, because I have seen people waiting for that
Mm.
magic house and they're not quite ready because they didn't put the steps in place. And a house like that one that you're just talking about is a one in a million.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really is. So you do have to be ready
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
for something like that to happen. And yes, we do see, typically we've seen things as a seller's market here. Things are starting to balance. Midsummer last year, starting to balance. There's a few more deals for buyers, a bit more patience. But definitely, if the house has been well taken
Mm-hmm.
care of and it's move-in ready, there's a good chance you're still going to compete with somebody else. Yeah.
Oh gosh. Well, that's why it's so important to have. I mean, I say this all the time, but I really mean it. That it's so important for people to have a broker who, like yourself, who really understands the historic property, so that when they come up, you know what a rare gem this is, and you understand kind of how to frame this opportunity for your clients, or you understand, like, you know what, this is a beautiful house, but don't feel too pressure. I do have a feeling, or I know the neighborhoods, and I don't know. It's like, it's so important to have a broker who really is sympathetic to
Absolutely.
someone wanting a
And how
historic
many
property versus
changes, like
just
knowing
any
things,
old
different things
thing.
about, if the neighborhood happens to have a historical status attached to it, there's limitations to what you can actually do to the house as well. And that's a considering factor when you're buying. You might not be able to split the house into a
Yeah.
multifamily, for example, or maybe you can't change the facade because the city has determined that, it does
Mhm.
need to have a certain look to it. So those are factors that come into play as well.
Absolutely. Well, the last question I want to ask, because I know every time our sister account, Cheap Old Houses, shares something in Canada, or every time we have a property like yours in Canada. I'm based in the United States, but there have been many properties I'm like, I don't know. I think I'm moving to Canada. This is a pretty, and I know so many other people have that same desire. But I would love, if you don't mind, giving us a little bit of a reality check from your position on the ground. What is currently permitted if you are not a Canadian citizen and you are
Yeah,
interested in purchasing property in Canada? Is that an option right now?
so things are
When
very
you get
different.
a call
As
from
of
someone outside the country, how do you manage
January
that?
1st of this year, a new law was come into play for 2 years only. We're already a quarter, 1/8 of the way through that. So we are clipping along. I didn't make the rule. I have had to share this information with an international buyer before, and I feel terrible. They did try to do it to try to slow the market. I'm not sure that would have been the avenue that I would have taken if they'd asked me. They didn't. Um, but yes, there are some exceptions. If you
Mary.
have a permanent resident card, if you've been employed in Canada for a certain length of time, You might be able to do that. If you're purchasing a multi-family, like an apartment, there are some stipulations where you might be able to do that. But if you're purchasing, for example, as a residence, and you say your business is international and you're online and it's based out of New York, that would not, you would not be able to do that. Even if you're just paying cash, you'd have to wait for 2 years, unfortunately. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah. But I mean, it's important for people to know because I think that it lets them kind of get a sense of kind of the pacing, okay, fine. Like, if that's really their dream to be in Canada with their dream property, wherever it may be, you got another, year and 7 months to just hang tight or so. So use that time to plan, use that time to explore a little bit and find what cities, what towns, what regions, are of interest to you. Save. And yeah, then you'll, when that lifts, hopefully it lifts. I mean, maybe it stays in place, maybe it stays in place, but it evolves. I mean, do you have a sense
It'll
at the
probably
2 year
be
mark, is it meant to
reevaluated, and
completely
they,
go
they might
away or
end up
is it going to be
making an amendment to it.
reevaluated?
I would like to see a pretty strong amendment personally. I don't think we want to discourage purchasing too much. I don't think that's good in the long run. I think they were trying to do something and that this is what they came up with. I think encouraging people to come from elsewhere is always positive. Another thing people could do is, maybe as it gets closer to that 2 year being up, is they can rent in a place for a few months and see how it feels and get to know the different neighborhoods that they would want to buy in. Maybe they don't want to just, do a house hunting trip and then move and then find out they've bought something in the neighborhood they don't want. So that's not a negative.
Yeah. No, I agree. And we have had some really great opportunities recently to share some historic properties that are on the or that are available for rental. And I really encourage people, same thing, if you have a long-term rental opportunity, it can be so valuable because you have this, rose-colored glasses of, oh my gosh, to live international, it'd be so great, this, that, and the other. And then you're going to wait all this, 2 years, and then it comes and you pull the trigger. And what if it wasn't the right fit for you and you've lost this opportunity to kind of, do some due diligence and just test things out a little bit. And I know that renting and moving is not, you can't just keep doing it. It's not like that's no cost, but it could potentially save you from a much bigger, change of heart down the road. Can people also reach out to you if they
We
might
don't
be
really
interested
typically
in
deal with
exploring
rentals
Winnipeg
here
first as
as
a
real
renter?
estate agents as well. I know that in some of the bigger centers they do. If somebody's looking for guidance, I can send them into a direction if purchasing is something in their future. But I don't deal with rentals hands on. No.
Right. Okay. Well, before we wrap, then I would love to know: do you have anything in the pipeline that people should get excited about? Do you have
Um,
something coming my way
I
that people
can't
are
give
just going to lose their minds
specifics
for?
right now. I know. I love your energy,
Oh,
by
then
the
it's going to be
way.
very good. It's going to be
You're a
very
great
good.
interview. It's awesome. Stay tuned. Definitely, I'm always on the hunt
Thank
for
you.
more properties that I'm always looking for properties that have a story to tell. And if you're looking to make a purchase with a type of house like that or one that you have for sale, I want to help tell the story in the most magnificent way. And I will add, if you're considering buying in Canada and you're not sure, one thing I will say about Winnipeg, despite our cold winters, is we are one of the most affordable places in the country, and you can live a pretty great quality of life here. Okay?
All right. Well,
Okay,
just so you know,
awesome.
Mary, I'm coming to visit. You're going to give me a walking tour. It'll be great. I'm very excited to get to
Absolutely. You
explore
need to check out the
Winnipeg more.
rivers
It
and the
sounds like a place
forks,
that I need to put at the
definitely.
top of my list. Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you so much. If you are watching this live or on the replay, go follow Mary right now. She has wonderful insight to share all the time. Whether you're looking right now in Winnipeg or
Thank you so
Canada or not,
much. You have a
you
great
could
day.
be.
Bye,
So give her
everyone.
a follow. And thank you so much for your time today.